Welcome back to Totally Based. I'm Joey Gaskin, and today we've got to talk about what no one is talking about, and that is where the children in Maui. There's been a report of like 1,000 to 2,000 kids that are missing, and no one is talking about that. So we're going to talk about that today, but before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you never miss out on new content from me. Now let's get to it. All right, so what I want to do today is basically just take a look at this video that I found online. It's from Hustle Bitch, and he's basically taken a compilation of different sources, videos that are from the news, videos that are from just people online sharing things on social media, and he's compiled all of this stuff into one video to where it's kind of posing different questions around the idea of these children that are missing in Maui, and no one's talking about this, and they should be. And that's really why I wanted to highlight it on my channel, is because no one is talking about it. And so hopefully through means like this, people will begin to talk about it, and this will be something that it becomes news, because it should be news. So we're just going to jump into it and let him flow.
On today's video, we have a lot of ground to cover in a very short amount of time. Videos about the Maui fire are being scrubbed from the internet at a rapid pace, so I'm going to be showing you a collection of what I've found so that you're able to see them before they suddenly disappear. Here we go.
Now you can't get in there. Now it's a war zone. Now it's like checkpoints and Checkpoint Charlie and guards and FBI and ATF and Army. These people have not been able to go back to their homes to get the contents of their safe. And I've heard rumors about who is rummaging through that. Again, I'm not here to spread rumors, but I'm just telling you. To not allow homeowners to go in to get their stuff is weird. To not allow press to go in there to get their stuff doesn't make sense. To not allow citizens like me to pull over on the side of the road and take pictures and videos from afar of what's going on. I can't fly my drone over there and watch the hillside for future strikes causing fires, or looking down and seeing what FEMA's doing. To block everybody out is against our constitutional rights.
There is now...
Yeah, he's got a point. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I may have mentioned it in a previous video of mine. I did a video on just the whole idea of, you know, this might be a land grab. And in the video, I think I mentioned that there's a fence, a black fence that they put up all around Lahaina right now, around all of the damage from the fire. They've got this black fence up, and apparently this fence is pretty expensive. It costs like $3 million just to put this up. And you can't see into Lahaina. You can't see anything that's in there. And people have tried to pull over on the side of the road to take pictures, to look at things, and there are police officers that are giving people tickets and telling them not to pull over on the side of the road. So isn't that odd? The guy said in this video too that he can't fly a drone. He can't fly a drone over and take footage. You know, like why? Why can't you do these things? Also, why is this fence up in the first place? You know, I've seen where it's been reported that they have this fence up to keep out the ash, you know, so there won't be dust in the air and things like that. And I'm like, that makes no sense. Makes no sense. Whatever, man.
Yet another extremely concerning situation taking place in Maui.
This is probably one of the most egregious things that they could do post-fire. Let me ask you a question. Would you rather have glue or ash go into the ocean? Here, just watch.
Looking at options of how to mitigate ongoing discharges to the ocean, we've decided to apply a soil tackifier, which is, we've chosen a product that is non-toxic, biodegradable, marine safe.
Okay, here we are on vinyl acetate. When you go down to the toxicity, one test in 2009 done by the Canadians that says it's safe, but then if you look here, it says in the context of large-scale release into environment, it is classified as extremely hazardous.
Okay, read it for yourself. Google it for yourself. Check out for yourself. Vinyl acetate, copolymer. But really it boils down to a common sense question. Would you rather have glue going into the ocean, or would you rather have ash? And two, why are they really doing that? What's the real purpose? Some saying it's so they can lower the value, make it unusable, and come in and swoop it up, which is part of the land grab.
The University of Hawaii caught a green laser beam on camera for over 10 minutes the morning before the fire. This video has also been removed from the internet, but I was able to save it for you. Check it out. One theory is that they were mapping their targets out so they wouldn't accidentally hit Oprah's house.
But why shouldn't you have a conspiracy theory when they're not telling you anything and they're purposely lying to cover for...
I also don't know why that's a conspiracy theory when you're just positing possibilities, meaning like it's not impossible, and you're not saying that it actually... Well, Oprah, I feel like, has better things. I mean, she does own a space laser, so I mean, theoretically, you could... But the
you can certainly see why people would conclude, something's a little screwy here. Is there something more going on?
In absence of facts and explanations, everyone has to rely on their own theories as to what's really going on in Maui.
We basically want accountability of people who are responsible for this, and they should be held liable for this. People should be held liable for this because this is gross negligence. We want accountability of people, that electric company, the police. Why did the police block people from coming and exiting? The police was blocking the road. Hundreds of people were backed up there with people in their cars, and a lot of people lost their lives. The police officer that was over there, he should be investigated. It needs to be investigated by a third party that is not associated with the government. People in Lahaina are angry. We don't trust the government because of what has happened. I'm an attorney, and I question, there's so many things that are questionable that has happened here. We still don't trust the government. We're wondering what's on those documents for FEMA. I don't know what's on the documents myself. And we're afraid to sign documents because right after that, the governor says, I'm going to take the land. The state wants to purchase all this land. Who the hell does he think that he should get this land? This land belongs to the people.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, I don't even know how this is even a discussion. These people have a house fire, and all of a sudden it's like, we're going to take your land. Like, if that happened anywhere else, if it's just a normal house fire or something like that, there's never a discussion of like, this land now becomes, property of the state. Like, what kind of stuff is that? And to an earlier point where he's talking about what caused the fire, people are asking what caused this fire. A lot of people do not believe that this was just a wildfire. A lot of people believe that this was a strike of some sort, or where, like you said, you can map it out and you could pick where you want to target. And so I don't know. Again, there's just a ton of speculation as to what really happened. How did it happen? And then again, where are these children, which will come up in a moment.
Already.
Okay.
The government is liable for this, grossly negligent, at least if not criminally negligent. They should clean up all that land, restore that land to the people who own that, because they failed here. They failed.
Yeah. And then the other thing too, just want to mention too, is the governor. The governor, he enacted this emergency basically to where he now can pretty much say anything. He could say or do anything, he can make any call regarding the land in Lahaina. And so he said earlier when he was first elected that he was looking to do this anyway, so he could get some things done. And then now he's also talking about putting a memorial in place. And people are like, we don't want a memorial. We just want our homes. We want to go back to normal, and obviously that's not going to happen, but they just want to be able to get back to normal. And he's telling people not to come, tourists not to come, which is hurting. It's actually hurting them because tourism is the lifeblood in Lahaina. So I don't know.
The government failed.
People are outraged, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Oprah Winfrey are facing backlash after asking fans to donate to their Maui fund instead of contributing more of their own money.
That will put money directly in the hands of
People are mad at Oprah and The Rock, as more than 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Looking at the fund organization it's called Entertainment Industry, with their audit for last year, can see all the different costs that are taken from donations, including salaries, advertisement, rent, bonuses, and more, of around 400 million, absorbing most of the donations. And the CEO salary is around 700,000 to $1 million, according to salary.com. This is why many people have shared their frustration online that a billionaire and multimillionaire are asking for donations, and most of donations will go to overhead costs. I don't know, what do you think about this?
I think it's shameful. That's exactly what it is. Like, Oprah is a joke, man.
Would you donate to them or prefer to donate directly to the families?
How's it feel to be here, ma'am?
Well, it's a little overwhelming,
Did you know?
Overwhelming, for real? For her? Is it really? Do you know how much land Oprah has in Lahaina? In Maui, rather? She has so much land. She could literally put up tents or some type of temporary housing for these people instead of just giving them pillows. She's their neighbor, and she has God knows how many more times than these people have. And for her to come in and just be like, I feel overwhelmed. No, you don't get to say that. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous.
No, it's been 1 month now, and the Lahaina fire is just now finally 100% contained, but is still not yet extinguished. There's over 1,000 people surveying and performing hazmat cleanup, yet the fires are still going to this day.
Almost 4 weeks since the Maui fires broke out, and firefighters are slowly making progress.
So where are the children? It's been 1 entire month since the Lahaina fire, and officials are still giving families and the public no real information. No update on the death toll, which they're now saying is anywhere between 115 and 385. Also, no information about the missing children or their parents. No updates from the DNA matches that Police Chief Pelletier was rapidly collecting.
She and another sister on the mainland did DNA swabs weeks ago. She filed a missing persons report with police too. She's been asking for 10 days if her DNA matches any of the 115 remains.
We've never got that information.
And still no proper relief from the government. The public remains left in the dark with no idea how many are actually missing. What we can assume is that the number is much higher than the 385 the government is claiming, and much higher than the less than 50 active missing person cases that Governor Josh Green is saying. As we've seen, the official number makes wild jumps down from the over 2,000 kids that were originally missing. It also doesn't match up with the latest stats from the Department of Education, which says out of 3,000 students enrolled in West Maui, approximately 1,200 remain undetermined.
33, we're tracking new developments regarding West Maui schools. Now, here are the latest stats from the Department of Education. Before the fire, there were 3,001 students enrolled in that area. Since then, 778 have re-enrolled in other schools. 874 have signed up for distance learning. 129 are now enrolled in charter or independent schools. 12 have withdrawn. Now that leaves about 1,200 students that the DOE is actively trying to contact.
Nick Sorter said, at a minimum, I believe officials are definitely hiding the real numbers, especially for missing, from the people of Maui, hoping this story goes by the wayside and their grip of power becomes less threatened. Families are left with more and more unanswered questions with each passing day.
I'm sorry. I just got to ask a question like, how is it that 1,200 kids go unaccounted for and no one mentions it? How is that possible? Also, how is that possible when they're putting up, again, these fences and they won't let you see in, and they're looking for them, okay? Someone should be looking for them. If they're not, someone's got to be looking for them. You can't just believe that, oh, well, everybody died in a fire. I mean, there's some people who probably could have made it, maybe elsewhere. You don't know. All I know is that no one is talking about this, and it's irritating. And so it's irritating me.
Hey.
Those who have been searching for clues about what happened to their loved ones are frustrated with the lack of answers from officials.
Yeah, Bridget, a lot of family members flew to Maui searching for answers and for their loved ones. And now many of them are leaving with more questions and with heartache.
There are hundreds of families who don't know what's going on. They're unable to come here. They're getting bits and pieces of information, and there needs to be a hub they can go to have their questions answered.
We still don't have any answers regarding the school buses as well. I had mentioned the buses on a video a few days ago, assuming you had seen the video on it already. I left you all with questions, so this next video you're about to see has no audio, but if you read along, it will explain the school bus mystery. If school was
So I guess what's being proposed here as an idea, a possibility, is that maybe all of these kids were taken somewhere. I guess because he's showing video or footage rather of where there were not that many buses left over, but there typically a lot more buses. So I guess one idea that's floating around right now is that trafficking is a potential possibility of what may have happened, and I think that if that's the case, that's really, really, really awful. But where are these kids? And again, why is no one talking about it? Because we know when it comes to trafficking, like, it's one of those things that happens every day and you don't even know about it. It just happens right under your nose. And again, no one ever wants to talk about it. So I guess that's kind of the idea that's being proposed here.
Canceled that day. As they tell us, wouldn't the buses be lined up in the parking lot since they weren't in use? Footage has surfaced of a long line of school buses evacuating from Lahaina. Speaking of vehicles, there are currently over 18,000 cars sitting idle at the Maui airport.
Maui's rental car companies are working to ship out part of their inventory as tourists have fled the Valley Isle.
Thousands of cars are still parked at the Kahului airport, and many say it reminds them of the pandemic.
At Kahului Airport and the surrounding fields, it's a sign that Maui's economic engine is at a standstill and appears like a repeat of the COVID pandemic.
They're two separate lots and they're both full of empty cars, and yeah, it's just surreal. Yeah.
And from an airplane window, the massive scale of devastation from the Lahaina wildfire comes into full view. There are 7 rental car companies at Kahului Airport. The Maui District Airport Manager says there are 21,000 rental cars. 3,000 are currently rented, leaving 18,000 cars to sit idle.
There's one more video I'd like to show you, again with no sound, but if you pay attention, it may also prove that we're being lied to about the children being sent home from school the day of the fire. To add insult to injury, the good people of Maui are now being forced into bank.
I'm just trying to figure out what that was about. I don't know. I was saying that about the date, and so I'm just thinking to myself, like, I don't know. I feel like that's a reach just because they had the wrong day of the week on the website. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a reach.
Bankruptcy and eviction from their own homes. Once again, Nick Sorter voiced his outrage, saying, "Hey FEMA, how about all the people on Maui that are about to be forced into eviction and bankruptcy because you're rejecting the vast majority of residents' claims? That $700 is a freaking insult to the people of Maui. Even your own employees know this is a freaking joke. Get it together. The great people of Maui can't handle the suffering much longer. Not including rent or a mortgage, $700 lasts less than a week for the average family in Hawaii. FEMA fails the people once again."
Name me one major.
$700. Can you imagine somebody gave you $700 and your house just burnt down and all that you literally have is the clothes on your back? Can you imagine that? And they give you $700. What are you going to do with that? I mean, that's such an insult. Such an insult.
Issue that we've set our mind on solving, we haven't been able to do.
Joe Biden made an appearance in Florida to check out the damage from Hurricane Idalia, and people there want to know why he still hasn't gone to East Palestine yet.
I said in March that you would go to East Palestine, Ohio. You came here. How come you haven't gone to East Palestine yet?
Well, I haven't had the occasion to go to East Palestine. There's a lot going on here, and I just haven't been able to break. I was thinking whether I'd go to East Palestine this week, but I then was reminded I've got to go literally around the world. I'm going from Washington to India to Vietnam to.
I'm sorry. I call bull. I call bull 100%. I mean, East Palestine, Ohio is 5 hours away from Washington, D.C. That's a drive, okay? Obviously, he wouldn't be driving. He would be taking a flight, and he wouldn't be taking commercial. He would be taking Air Force One, okay? So it's probably like 30 to 45-minute flight for him, I'm guessing, you know? But come on, really?
And so it's going to be a while. But we're making sure that East Palestine has what they need materially in order to deal with their problems.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy toured Lahaina over the weekend and pledged continued support to help rebuild Maui.
I think there's disasters and they're going to continue to be disasters. I think we could better prepare where a disaster doesn't happen.
And McCarthy also made a little trip to Hawaii over the holiday weekend, visiting the wildfire-devastated communities of Maui. While there, he vowed the people of Hawaii would get the truth on what started the fire, why it grew out of control, why residents weren't notified faster, and what can be done in the future to prevent this type of devastation from ever happening again.
Ron DeSantis calls what happened in Maui an absolute catastrophe.
Do you trust the federal government to help seeing what happened in Hawaii just a few weeks ago in East Palestine a few months ago?
Look, I think the Maui is a total catastrophe, what happened there. And I don't think we have all the answers to that. I think we should have all the answers to that. It's interesting how incurious our corporate media is about what happened in Maui. I mean, I don't see them interviewing parents who can't find their kids, but we know there's a lot of people missing. So that was a total disaster, really, really heartbreaking to hear some of the stories, even though they're not being publicized.
At a Medal of Honor ceremony this week for 81-year-old Captain Larry Taylor, Biden walked out before the closing benediction, leaving the recipient, as well as those in the audience, quite confused.
My guy's like, I'm sure I'm older than you. What is the problem here?
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me for the benediction.
President Joe Biden, please join us for the benediction.
Most holy God, we thank you.
We're going to end today's video right there. Give this video a like only if you feel I earned it. Also, be sure.
All right, so that pretty much does it, guys. I'm just saying, like, I mean, we have trusted our media for a very, very, very long time. I remember being a kid and like sitting down and watching the news with my family, and, you know, people would watch the news in the morning, you'd read the newspaper. We consumed all of their information for so long that we've gotten to the point that we just rely on them for information, and that's just it. And I think people have gotten to a place nowadays where they realize it's all just a bunch of hogwash. It's just not true. They report what they want us to know. They leave out a whole lot, and they make zero effort to speak about the things that really matter, which in this case is, where are these kids? That pretty much does it for us today, guys. If you like the content that I'm bringing to you, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in a future video. Peace.